At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Jake Nulph Show here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, and another disappointing yet promising mixed bag, if you would, Coach. Plenty of positives, lots of frustrations, but, development-wise, you got to take care of business. I mean, we want to thank everybody here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Bill, Corral, and the whole staff for having us each and every week, but a frustrating loss against Indiana. A good football team that was coming in limping, and we really had some opportunities in the beginning, first half, to really change the outcome. And whether it's a missed call here or a bad play there, you got to give Indiana credit. They made some plays down the stretch to make it happen. But I hate to start this way, but what could have been?
Well, and look, hats off to IUP and their coaching staff. They, for those of you that don't know, they won 20-10. When it was 10-7 heading into the half, and you talk about the opportunities that we missed early, and again, you had mentioned the psyche of IUP. It's not normal for them to be a 3-3 football team heading in, midway through the season. We knew that. And we had emphasized all week, Joe, about the start, how important the start was, how important it was to get momentum early. We took the ball to start the game because, for those of you that didn't watch the game, the weather was, we all played in it, but we had known all week that it was going to be wet, it was going to be cold, and we had talked, hey, look, if it's not raining to start the game, let's take the football, because we weren't sure what the second half element was going to look like. And it was a little bit of a mist. And as you continue to play in the weather, the ball gets worse. So we took the football. We started the first series, I think, with a 7-play drive, got it to midfield. We established a little bit of rhythm. Defensively, started out with the exception of the first play, which was, Marchitelli in a designed quarterback run. They ran 4 plays. They kind of flipped the field a little bit because of the quarterback run. And then I love Coach DeMeo went into the playbook and dialed up a clever play, which we called them, which was a reverse flea flicker where Matt hit Brody List down the sideline for a huge chunk play. We get the ball 1st and 10 from the 22-yard line going in. And, whether it's elements or whatever, but Brian fumbled the ball away, so we missed an opportunity there. The thing I can tell you is we were +1 on the day in the turnover battle. We punted a ball. Ridley, who's usually a sure-handed punt returner for IUP, just put one on the turf. We end up getting it. We get a field goal on that series. The thing that happened, Joe, though, was going back on Brian's fumble, 1st and 10 from the 22. We end up fumbling that back to IUP. And again, we talk about the timely plays. Well, Stewart goes 78 yards untouched on a great run.
Yeah.
We just, defensively, they did a crack to our boundary safety. We got to replace with the corner, and Stewart outran him. But we were looking at the stats. Stewart had 4 carries in the first half for 78 yards. Yeah. And that 78-yard touchdown run there. But again, credit to our guys. We get on 7-0. We get it to 7-3. We end up taking the lead 10-7 with a great play. Matt kind of scrambled a little bit. The offensive line did a great job in protection, and Mike Watkins got behind the defense for us to go up 10-7. Toby Klein had a tremendous play in the second quarter on a forced fumble on Stewart, which was as violent of a collision as I've seen all year. We were kind of making plays. We had some momentum, and right before the half, we had a tremendous drive where on a 3rd down conversion, Armani Bailey took a wheel route. Matt threw him open. He goes up over, makes a tremendous catch. We had all the momentum going down. Unfortunately, we get it 1st and 10 from the 13, false start, kind of lose some momentum. We get it down inside, and, we wanted to take the points, Joe. We kicked the field goal, and unfortunately we didn't execute the field goal. Where Reed Martin, as we all know, Reed's pedigree, just missed the kick. So instead of being up 13-7 at the half, it's a 10-7 ball game. We missed opportunities, Joe, though. We had the ball literally on IUP's 40th series. Their defense stood up, made us punt. You know, we got another series in the first half at our own 47 with a short porch, moved the ball, stumbled out, just missed opportunities in that first half. And, you know, but hey, look, we start the second half. IUP comes out. Marchitelli wasn't playing real well for them at quarterback. They were kind of struggling a little bit to find an identity. And, you know, I know Coach Campy and that offensive group and Larry Wilson, their OC, they went into old school 21 personnel in the eye and wanted to pound the rock because of the elements. Their offensive line took over. They come down. They took the lead. They missed the extra point, so it's a one-possession game there. And this is where, again, we talk about the urgency and the ability to make plays is when you can run the football, Joe, like they did in the second half and eat up clock. You know, they start that second half series out, and I want to go back. They drive it a little bit, but Logan Dexter inside, I think it was inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah. In
double coverage, Marchitelli throws a ball. Logan Dexter picks the ball off in the end zone to stop that series. But the start of that, after the interception, we had 3 possessions in the second half.
I wanted to jump in here. At the half, it was 22-20 to 7:40. Edinboro time of possession advantage.
Right.
The game ended 33-26 to 26-34. So they almost had 19 minutes.
Yeah, it just completely flipped.
Correct. From
the tail of the first half to the tail of the second half, and that's where we had 3 possessions in the second half, Joe. We just kept sputtering out in midfield, and IUP, their last 3 possessions, Joe, they started on our 30, so they went 70 yards, 9 plays. On that second possession, they took the lead. They missed the extra point. So it's a 13-10 game there. And, you know, we dial up a kick return where we're 1 block from – because, again, there's some guys for following along at home. Staffs know it. It's no secret. You know, this is an outfit that I know well from working for Coach Tortorella and that staff, where we dialed up a return to go against their – aggressive kickoff scheme, and we just didn't execute that, where I felt like we could have broke it open there at that point. Missed opportunity. But the final 3 possessions that IUP had the ball, they went touchdown, and they ran the clock out with a little over 5 minutes and never gave it back to us, where we had 3 possessions, and we just, again, couldn't get the momentum back. And that's the thing where, you hate saying deja vu, because, look, I take full responsibility. I'm the head football coach of this program, Joe. And, we're just the timely plays for whatever reason, the momentum plays. We're just not making them, and our opponents are. And, again, hats off to IUP. They executed. They were able to play to their strength, which that's a big physical offensive line. That's a veteran group that has been playing together for a long period of time. And they just – They dictated terms in the football game where they were able to run the ball. And when you're doing that, we've got to get into an 8-man front, single things on the outside. It opened up their play-action pass. They hit Zanoble on the wheel. And then their second touchdown, we dialed up a blitz to try to get ahead of the sticks. And they wheeled Hauser out of the backfield, where we're isolation coverage with our linebacker, and he just happened to win. And, it gets it to 20-10, and we're just trying to chase the game there. And, they were able to run the ball out there. So hats off to IUP. But we still, again, it wasn't all doom and gloom. This is a really good IUP football team. We made some plays. I thought Brody List made some really nice plays in the pass game. Mike Watkins had another monster day there. I know you're going to bring Matt up here. He had almost 300 all-purpose yards, between throwing and running the ball. But, again, we just keep shooting ourselves in the foot. And I had a meeting with our guys today, and we got to point the thumb because ultimately, Joe, there is no magic pill. There is no formula. We got to work, and we got to put the time in at practice, and we got to start executing better. We got to start pointing the thumb. We got to start being accountable and taking ownership in the plays that we're not making. and we just got to continue to fight, and we got to get ready for Clarion.
Yeah, and of course, I know you can't say anything, but I will. If there's anybody from the league office that would like to sit down with me and review a non-pass interference call that would have been first and goal from the 1.5-yard line. And, again, you talk about the big plays, the momentum.
Right.
Watkins was clearly interfered with. A corner never got his head turned around, ran right through him. And then basically you were forced to settle for a field goal where you're able to punch it in, and then maybe we're talking about a 17-7 lead going into the locker room.
And honestly, and you know what, Joe, that's a good point, though. But these are messages we have with our football team is, look, I can never control the officials, and I'm not going to make excuses. That is one thing that you'll never hear from our program. I'm not up here to make excuses for anything. That's the bed. We got to lay in it. And, hey, look, it was an incomplete pass. That was deemed on the field. Next play. We still got an opportunity to go and execute. And we got to do that. And unfortunately, we didn't. IUP did. Hats off to IUP. They won the football game Saturday.
Now, the one thing that I did want to ask you, because it wasn't limited to the ground game. There were drops. It was raining. Yeah. Are the kids all wear gloves? Do the gloves at some point
have to come off?
Counterproductive in the rain?
No, we learned that lesson from Gannon a week ago, is gloves are counterproductive when it gets wet. And that's the thing where it was dry, and then it got wet. So as soon as it gets wet, you got to take the gloves off, and you got to play in bare hands, old school football. That's just the nature of the thing. It's something that we coach and we articulate. And in bad weather games, they're no good.
One thing I want to ask you before we get Matt Carlisle up here and then turn the page to Clarion, did you have a suspicion that Coach Tortorella was going to come out with a 2004 playbook in the second half? I mean, that looked old school, Signetti era football, Tepper era, power eye, and they did get some play action out of it. But were you prepared for that?
Yeah, we knew that when you play a backup quarterback that doesn't have a lot of experience, and where their experience is and their personality of the coaching staff is, we knew they were going to come out and try to establish the run game, whether it was Marchitelli or Stewart in the stable of running backs that they have. So, that wasn't a surprise for us. And again, if we take care of business in the first half and capitalize on the opportunities, well, when you're up a couple scores, you can't jump into the eye and run the clock out. Again, 100% credit to that coaching staff. They said, you know what? We're not going to throw it. We're not going to put our quarterback in that situation. Let's get these guys in the old school phone booth. Let's play this game, not in the parking lot. And they controlled the line of scrimmage, and they were able to start getting the momentum back. And that's the thing where we talked about it again in the offensive line and our defensive line, the ability to run the football and play our style. Well, I thought that their defensive line did some really good things, but it wasn't from, again, we had plays in the run game. We had plays in the pass game. It was just a matter of the momentum, the consistency, and then executing when the timely possessions. Because, look, you can sit here and move the ball ad nauseum between the 20s, but when we get in those high-profile areas, we got to come away with points. IUP did that. We did not.
Jake Nulph Show live here from Charlie's Pub and Eatery. Matt Carlisle will join us when we come back. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and especially for you for watching along. And, of course, when we bring Coach back up, we will turn the page to the Golden Eagles. Tough one on the road last week at Indiana. Matt Carlisle, when we come back, this is the Jake Nulph Show live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99 just past the lake.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Well, welcome back to Jake Nulph Show here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99 just past the lake. Matt Carlisle, who has had a wild journey. And, of course, year number one here at Edinboro has sort of been a microcosm of how you got to Edinboro, some setbacks and, some good, some bad. First and foremost, before we get into the journey, how healthy are you?
I have a few bumps and bruises. I'm not going to lie to you, but nothing that's going to hold me out of a game or anything. So I'm ready to go.
I got to ask you, you're a silent guy, but you're a leader. I watch your body language. I watch you. You have the clever play, as Coach Nulph calls it. You hit the big one to Brody, and then you immediately turn it over, and Dejar Stewart goes 78 yards. What's the conversation like when you're leading your guys back out there? Because that's a tough turn of events. That's a big swing. But you guys came back out, and nothing seemed to change. What was the conversation like on the sideline when you went back out with the football again?
Well, defense came back on the sideline, and I just told the defense, hey, we got you here. We're going to go get you a touchdown. And, I just got the O-line and everybody kind of pumped up and be like, hey, I know that drive didn't really go the way we wanted it to, but, let's go. Forget it. Flush it. Let's move on.
Now, you mentioned the O-line, and, I'm going to say that last week was sort of the outlier. 5 sacks, I think it was. Only 1 this week.
Okay.
By and large, they've kept you fairly clean.
They have.
And they've done a nice job. But I wanted to get your thought on the ground game. You and Trobel are such a nasty RPO, situation. What's that like when, is there? I would imagine that morale gets pretty high when all of a sudden you and Trobel are chunking, and the offensive line and Brody List is getting to the next level and laying people out. That's got to be a fun feeling in the huddle.
Very fun, yeah, especially when we build that rhythm up and it doesn't feel like anybody can stop us.
Now, in the terrible conditions, it rained, the sun came out. It was not a great day. You're coughing the football up. You coughed it up a bunch the week before. You're getting some drops. How hard is it to be a leader to keep these guys focused? It's not the end of the world. We got another one, and it's what's that like?
It's tough because, a lot of guys, bad play happens. Some guys just can't, they don't have that, move on, next play mentality. So that's the thing I just try to stress. Okay, that didn't go the way we wanted it to. Move on, next play, flush it. It doesn't matter anymore. We can't do anything to change it. Just move on. We got another drive ahead. So.
Now, Matt Carlisle has had an interesting path to get here. For those of you that do know, you're going to hear it again. But, tell us the story. It's been an interesting ride. And I want to ask, what is the junior college world like?
It's
constant recruitment.
It's like being in the portal still, and it's pretty cool, especially in California. A lot of people out here on the East Coast don't know what it's like, but there's 72 junior colleges out there. It's a whole league. You have a NorCal champion and a Southern Cal champion, and they both play in the California, state championship. You could say kind of like high school, but it's junior college, and it's big time. You have every Power 5 program you could think of swings by through every program, especially a good one like American River College, the one I went to, and that's coached by Coach John Osterhout. He does a great job, and it's a whole other world out there.
And now that we're midpoint and beyond, I wanted to get your thought process about what the PSAC is, and again, I say this, everybody that plays collegiately, Edinboro probably wasn't their number one school. Just like, I used to think I was going to play in the NBA, and then I, settled to be on SportsCenter, but here I am. What's it like when you got here versus, what you believed to now what you know? I don't think the people understand just how good of a league this is and how good you actually have to be to play at this level.
It's a very good league. And my recruitment and everything, I really wanted to go D1, and I just had my mind set on that. And, a few things didn't work out, and this opportunity presented itself, and I was like, let's go. And it's definitely been a big surprise this year to see the level of competition, and just because even junior college, there was a lot of competition. A lot of guys going D1, Nebraska. I had plenty of guys on my team go D1, and there's really not that big of a change. The speed, maybe a tad bit slower, but maybe the size, but you have your dudes in this league.
Yeah, certainly do. And I want to ask you, it feels like that we're sort of watching a relationship with you and Mike Watkins, especially in that broken play. He's been your big play guy as of late. Is it something that you've done? I don't nothing against the other guys, but just the stats and what we see on the field, it really feels like you guys are starting to understand one another's thought processes.
Yeah, I don't think it's really anything I've done or anything. I just think it's both of us building that relationship throughout practice, throughout the week. And the more I've hit him, he catches everything. So, like, it obviously builds trust. And I know for me, I feel like every time I throw the ball to him, like, there's no doubt, there's no, second thought of, I don't know if he's going to catch it. Like, I have 100% trust in that dude, and that he's going to make every play. Now,
I want to go back to when you get the play call, and it's the double reverse that you're going to get the throw out of.
I was excited.
Are you excited? Are you like, oh, this never works? What's the thought process? Because that play took what felt like 45 seconds from beginning to end. You were standing back there. What was the, kind of walk us through when you first got the call and then, how it went from there?
Yeah, we got the call, and I went up to the O-line, and I was like, hey, we're running it. Here we go. And everybody knew what I was talking about. And so I gave the call to the O-line and made sure Trebell knew what he was doing, because I think we ran it wrong throughout the week one time. So I was just making sure everybody's on the same page. And I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to go, but, like, let's go.
And then Brody ended up being wide open, which I'm sure that the wide open guy is the worst one to throw to. Usually it doesn't. You probably don't have a whole lot of time to process it, but that play took so long.
Yeah.
You probably had to see him open before you even got the football.
Yeah, well, my first look was Mike, and I saw he was covered, and then I just felt a lot of pressure coming from my left, and I was like, well, I got to get this thing off, and then I just saw Brody out of the corner of my eye, and I just kind of threw it out there. So
Matt Carlisle. It's been fun, man. It's good to see you out there. You certainly, in the run game, really, you and Brian complement one another rather well. Jerry Dinkins has been a pleasant surprise.
Yeah,
the O-line's been playing well. I mean, it feels like you're close. It feels like we're close, but what's it going to take to kind of get that thing literally and figuratively into the end zone here in the last couple of ball games?
Well, I think we've been in every game, and I know we have 5 losses, but I think we have been better than every team we've played, and I'll stand by that. But it's just going to take relentless consistency. Relentless consistency. That's it. We can be consistent in the first half, and then second half we don't, come out the way we want. But it's going to take relentless consistency in everything we do, because I do feel like we prepare hard, we work hard throughout the week. The effort's there, but we just have to stress that relentless consistency throughout the week, consistency in the game, and we just got to do our 111 and get our job done at the end of the day. Everybody.
Matt Carlisle taking some time with us here. It's the Jake Nulph Show live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Matt, thanks for taking some time.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, we turn the page to the Golden Eagles when Coach Nulph rejoins us back live at Charlie's right after this.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back here to Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Turn the page. Get you ready for the Golden Eagles. And, of course, this has been, even though the record wouldn't suggest it, Coach, this has been a team that has been very good early.
Yeah.
They've built up leads, I think, just about every week in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, they have.
It's a dynamic offense. It's odd. It's different. It's
very similar to a triple option attack.
Yeah.
They just use
Aline is one of the most dynamic players in the league, gets a lot of touches. Running back situation is interesting. Khalil Owens, he's not played in a couple of weeks. They're starting a freshman, Kalon Simmons,
the kid from Meadville,
speedster from Meadville. Yeah. Does that to me would probably be the best place to start. Kalon's going to be a great player. He's a baby in this league. Khalil Owens is a big physical,
really good back.
Big physical back.
Yeah. And that's you had mentioned their offense. They run the fly sweep with the QB power read, and that's the thing where it's unique. It's triple option like. They're going to stretch you horizontally. They're going to stretch you vertically. They're going to test your eye discipline. And look, they've played both quarterbacks in number 12 and number 8. Both are very capable runners, and both throw the ball efficiently. They've done some really, from a scheme standpoint, Joe, they've done a lot of really good things to lull you, and then they've done a really good job in double moves, isolating single coverage, hitting big plays. Their O-line's young, but they're physical, Joe. They get downhill on you. You had mentioned number one, and how dynamic he is as a receiver and as a fly sweep guy. I've seen a lot of different running backs in as far as with Owens being out. Like, the kid from Meadville's listed as a starter. We've seen the Paul Newton kid, the transfer from Robert Morris, get some touches. I just don't know based off of the two deep. It doesn't really match what I've seen on film the last 2 weeks. But they play a plethora of guys on offense. They're going to be very well coached. I know that. And then defensively, this is another – Josh Hager's their defensive coordinator, Joe. He's a guy that was the D coordinator at St. Vincent when myself and Coach DeMeo and Coach Hall were at Westminster when I was the DC. But that being said, I know Coach Monica has his fingerprints on the defense as well, but – that front 6 to 7, really, really, really talented.
The other guy is Legend Davis, the 15 in the back end.
Yeah.
Always seems to find his way to the football. That's a guy, Kemper's a pretty good safety as well. They're opportunistic in the back end.
They are. Look, this is a very well-rounded football team. Like you said, throw the record out the window. It's not a reflection of how hard they play, how they come after you. They're physical, they're opportunistic, they create turnovers, they create splash plays. Special teams, they're very well coached. I mean, we're going to have to be on our details this week. There's no doubt.
And, of course, Hamden's a tackling machine.
I mean, like I said, these guys, for whatever reason, have just – in the fourth quarter and second half have just not been able to finish. Boy, does that sound familiar, huh?
Yeah.
Right? And they've had extremely fast starts. They're up 20-0 on Gannon. They were up big on Mercyhurst. They were up on Cal. This is a good football team. This is a very well-coached football team. They are going to be ready to come into Sox Harrison Saturday and play an extremely physical football game, and we've got to get back on the horse. We got to continue to ride. And Joe, you come to practice on Mondays and you're around and Craig's around, et cetera. We've got to just continue to work and get better. No one's feeling sorry for us. Look, the reality is, and I mentioned this last week, we've just got to be a present group. We've got 4 opportunities ahead of us. But the only thing that matters right now is Clarion. And we got to come out this week. We've got to be detailed. We've got to be physical. And we got to go back to flying around and making plays.
Now, I wanted to ask because, historically, Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech always had some upsets. Army gave Oklahoma a near-death experience.
It's the style of play.
This is different. It's especially with some of your youngsters that are so aggressive downhill.
Yeah.
This isn't always see ball, get ball.
No, it's not. Again, from playing against it last year and the quarterback run game, which obviously we do with Matt, so our guys see it in practice, but it's just different. It's I compare it to triple option, Joe, because it's that type. It's fly sweep oriented, so there's always going to be a jet guy, and they want to hit that thing, whether they're Xing the edge or they are playing it straight up, and that sets up the power read game with the quarterback. That sets up the counter game with the quarterback, and that sets up the misdirection coming back. And then in the pass game, you're downhill. You had mentioned, and all of a sudden, somebody behind creeps behind your safeties, and they're throwing vertical balls over your head. It's a detail, discipline, know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there type of offense. And the other thing is, physically, we got to show up. We got to put bodies on these guys. We got to gang tackle. We got to let them know that, hey, look, physically we're here. We've got to attack this group. We've got to get body shots, and we've got to be opportunistic.
Now, let me ask you this, because obviously you don't want to tell them to not play downhill. But, this offense is designed to get that guy, that aggressive guy, out of position. Yeah. How do you coach that up to make sure that you're in your gap discipline, you're maintaining your backside contain, all the things that should be elementary,
right?
But all that eye candy, it gets the young eyes chasing it,
well,
and that's how they hit their big plays.
And I think it goes back to our experience as a staff. I mean, look, we used to play VMI, who was a triple option team when I was at Robert Morris, and we played Georgia Southern with Jared McKinnon at quarterback. And when they went down to Florida in 2013 and beat the Gators in the Swamp, when I was at St. Francis, and then when we would play Geneva all those years when I was at Westminster. And then I know Coach Papley has experience when he was at Duquesne playing Kennesaw State. Sometimes, Joe, there's going to be times this week we don't practice with the football. It's assignment sound. Key what you're supposed to be keying, where you're supposed to be. Make sure if you're a quarterback player, if you're a stretch player, if whatever that may be, you've got to fit where you're supposed to fit when you're supposed to be there to make sure that our eyes and that we're extremely disciplined on that side of the football. And then, like I said, defensively, these guys are physical. They're not going to let you run the football. They're going to try to make you one-dimensional. They've got some pass rushers. They've got some run pluggers. And you had mentioned the secondary. They've been extremely opportunistic.
Yeah, they certainly have. Legend Davis from day one was just intercepting footballs. He's a guy that you have to know. He just is a center fielder and just knows where the football is and is not afraid to mix it up collision-wise in order to get to the football. I want to sort of revert back, but not really. When you talk about turning the page, there were some positive things.
Absolutely.
What's the most important carryover? Never mind the winning or the losing. What's the most important carryover from last week to this week?
It's the physicality in which we play football. That's the one thing where, look, when you play an IUP, you better lace it up and let's get ready to go because it's going to be downhill. It's going to be physical. And that's the PSAC. It's a physical, big, nasty league. It suits personalities, which I really enjoy. And that's where we've got to be able to make sure that we continue to develop, we continue to get better, and physically show up. We talk, Joe, all the time. The fundamental will to compete, and I've said that before on this show, our fundamental will to compete every single day has got to be at a top notch. And we've got to, listen, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. We've got to continue to take care of the Edinboro football team. And that IUP team, you had mentioned, they went back to 2004 in the playbook, running it down your throat. They play that style on defense. And look, physically, for the most part, we did some really good things with the exception of a couple misalignments from a gap standpoint. But it wasn't like we didn't hold our own. We held our own on all three phases. They just made more plays than we did. So to me, that's the biggest tell is we just got to continue to develop and physically show up.
Got to give the people what they want. 2 reasons you win, 2 reasons you lose. I'm going to hedge your bet and say a fast start would be a big deal for you.
Yeah, well, look, there you go. I don't even have to answer that one. But you're 100% right. Given our lack of starting fast and their start have been extremely fast, look, we got to be able to roll. When it kicks off at noon, we've got to go. We got to make plays. We can't sit here and try to feel ourselves out. We got to cannonball into the swimming pool, and let's get after it. We got to get back on track. We've got to have the ability for splash plays, and we got to create those splash plays on defense as well.
Certainly, it's going to be an interesting football game. Again, the nuance of that, and I just wonder if that's not part of it. And when you talk about their fast starts that they continue to have each and every week, is because it's just so darn different than in 2023 what you're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I think the second key is going to be our discipline. Really, our ability to stay disciplined as a football team, just to be able to play every single play like it's your last one that you're ever going to play. That's the discipline. Whether it's eye discipline on defense, the accountability part, and as far as assignment based off of this fly sweep offense, and then offensively, just stay in it. Look, there's nothing wrong with a 4 or 5 yard run.
No.
Continue to chunk, continue to go. Be patient. Take what the defense gives you, and when the opportunity presents itself to make a big play, we have to do that.
Golden Eagles going to be in town on Saturday, 11 o'clock airtime on the Fighting Scots Radio Network, presented by ErieInjury.com. Myself and Nate Hartung will have the call. Kickoff at noon.
Well, I got to give Matt Hills in the house tonight.
Oh,
Well, you know, Edinboro Wrestling. Look at him.
He's over there on his phone.
Yeah,
big
thank you,
time
Matt, for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. We had Coach Wheeler last week, Coach Hill this week. So, again, appreciate all the support, all the alumni, athletic department, etc. And as always, go Burrow.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.